It is just after midnight. A man is sitting alone in his flat in England. The TV is off. His phone screen is the only light in the room. He has $100 in his casino account. By the time the sun comes up, that number will read $2,100,000. And 5 days after that, every single penny of it will be taken back. This is the story of Andrew Green, a single father, a man who had already survived 4 heart attacks, a man who did absolutely nothing wrong, and spent 3 years of his life in a war with one of the largest gambling companies on earth to prove it. Stay with me, because this one goes deep. Andrew Green is not the kind of man who ends up in a story like this. He is from Lincolnshire, England, a quiet part of the country. He ran a small metal coating business with his brother. He raised his 2 kids on his own. He was careful with money because he had to be. 4 heart attacks before the age of 50 will teach you to be careful about a lot of things. He was not a high roller. He was not chasing a system. He was just a man who, on the night of January 26th, 2018, opened a betting app called Betfred and started playing a blackjack game called Frankie Dettori's Magic 7. He put in $100, roughly speaking. And then something happened that neither Andrew nor Betfred nor anyone else in the room understood at the time. The game had a problem, not a visible problem, not a crash, not a frozen screen or an error message, a silent problem, buried deep inside the game's code. A defect in the probability engine that governed how jackpot bonuses were awarded. Specifically, and this detail matters, the longer a player played without stopping, the better their real odds of hitting a jackpot became. Not the odds displayed on screen, the actual mathematical odds running underneath the interface. The game was built by a company called Playtech, one of the biggest gambling software providers on the planet. And somewhere in Playtech's code for this particular game was a flaw that nobody had caught. Not Playtech, not Betfred, not the regulators who approved it. Andrew played for 5.5 hours straight. He had no idea what was happening underneath the surface. He just kept playing because the cards kept hitting. His balance climbed from $100 to a few thousand, then to $10,000, then to $38,000, then $76,000. Then, in a single bonus round, it jumped to $600,000. And then he hit the jackpot. $1,722,923.54. He tried to withdraw it. The app froze. He called customer service. They congratulated him. They told him his win was so large it needed a standard verification check. They told him to call back Monday morning. They wished him a good night. Andrew Green hung up the phone. He called his family. He cried. He went out and spent $3,000 celebrating. Because why wouldn't you? The casino had confirmed it. He had the screenshot. He was a millionaire. Monday came. On Monday, January 29th, 2018, 4 days after his win, a Betfred representative called Andrew, not to arrange the wire transfer, to tell him there had been a software glitch in the game and that his win would not be honored. 4 days of being a millionaire. 4 days of telling your children, planning your future, letting yourself breathe for the first time in years. 4 days of believing, truly believing, that the machine had finally spun your way. And then a phone call. We are not paying you. To their minimal credit, Betfred did not simply hang up. They offered to cover the $3,000 Andrew had spent celebrating. and they offered him an additional $60,000 to make the whole thing disappear. With one condition: he had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. They wanted to buy his silence. $60,000, roughly 3% of what he was actually owed, in exchange for his signature and his permanent silence. Andrew Green said no. He turned down $60,000 because Betfred had never shown him any proof that a glitch existed. They had simply told him there was one. And when his legal team asked for the game data, the actual logs, the code records, the evidence, Betfred said they did not have it. The data belonged to Playtech, and Playtech was not giving it up. Think about what that means. A company takes away $2 million from you, cites a defect they cannot prove, offers you 3% of what they owe to stay quiet forever. And when you ask for evidence, they tell you the evidence does not exist. Andrew hired a lawyer and filed a lawsuit against one of the largest bookmakers in the United Kingdom. What followed was 3 years of hell. 3 years of Betfred's legal team arguing the fine print covered them. 3 years of delays, court hearings, and COVID postponements. 3 years of a sick man, a single father who had already survived 4 heart attacks, fighting a billion-dollar corporation that expected him to give up. He never gave up. In April 2021, 3 years after that night on his couch, Mrs. Justice Foster of the High Court ruled in Andrew's favor. Complete victory. The judge found that Betfred's terms and conditions were inadequate, not transparent, not fair, and that Betfred was not entitled to rely on them. Andrew Green won his £1.7 million, plus 3 years of interest. His total payout came to over £2.3 million. Betfred accepted the decision. They did not appeal. Their statement was 4 sentences long. They apologized for the delay. Andrew stood outside the High Court and said one thing that I have not stopped thinking about since I read it. I played that game and pressed a button. Even if there was a glitch, I did nothing wrong. One ordinary man. $100. 3 years of fighting a machine that was built to beat him. And he won. If this story made you feel something, subscribe. There are cases coming to this channel that are stranger and darker than this one. The house always wins, until it doesn't.